Have you ever been in that situation? You're in a meeting, you've got all the facts, all the data, you know you're right, but for some reason, the message just doesn't land. It is so frustrating when you realize the plain truth isn't always enough to persuade people. So why is that, right? If the facts are crystal clear, why do our perfectly logical arguments sometimes just fall completely flat? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. Turns out, we humans don't react to raw facts. We react to how those facts are presented. The message itself matters, of course, but it's the packaging that really drives the decision. And that is exactly where we find our solution. The skill we're talking about here is called framing. You can think of it as the art of choosing the right lens to help other people see the truth in the most compelling way possible. The Society for Human Resource Management defines framing as, well, guiding a listener's perspective to encourage a specific action. This isn't about manipulation. It's about leadership. It's about showing people the path and actually making them want to take it. The best way I've found to think about framing is like a camera lens. What you choose to focus on completely changes the picture and the emotion it creates. For instance, if you frame a situation by zooming way in on all the potential risks, what's the natural emotional response? It's going to be fear. But what if you take that exact same situation and you just shift your focus? You pivot the lens to the potential for growth, for reward, the opportunity. Now you're evoking a completely different emotion. Your audience starts to feel excitement. And one more. If you frame that same issue as a responsibility, a duty, something they have to do, now the audience just feels the weight of a burden. It's the exact same situation in all three cases, but the frame you choose creates a totally different reality for the listener. So how do we actually build these powerful frames? Well, it's not guesswork. There's a blueprint. Let's walk through what's called the silver bullet structure. It's a 4-step process for crafting a message that really, truly connects. First up, the goal. You have to know the single, specific action you want them to take. Second, you have to answer their unspoken question. What's in it for me? Always connect your goal to their benefit. Third, logic and evidence. This is where you back up your case with the hard data, the undeniable facts. And finally, brand consistency. Make sure the message you're sending aligns with who you are and your professional image. Theory is great, but let's see how this stuff actually works in the real world. We're going to break down 2 really tricky workplace scenarios where using the right frame changes absolutely everything. Okay, so here's the situation. A senior manager, someone with a lot of influence, refers their friend for a job. You do the interview, and it's obvious. They are clearly not qualified. You have to say no. But how in the world do you do that without making a powerful enemy? The wrong way, the way most of us would default to, is just being blunt. Sorry, they're not qualified. What happens? The manager feels embarrassed, maybe a little defensive. The right way involves a really strategic reframe. It's not about the candidate's failure at all. It's about something else entirely. Okay, here's how the right way works. Step 1, you show empathy. Thank you so much for the referral. Step 2, and this is the absolute key, you reframe the issue away from the candidate and onto the manager. You say something like, putting them in this role could really set them up to fail, and honestly, that would reflect poorly on your great reputation. See what just happened there? You're no longer rejecting their friend, you're protecting their reputation. Then finally, you offer a helpful solution. Just like that, problem solved, relationship saved. Let's try another one. This is a classic. You need your very, very frugal boss to approve a $50 million software investment. You know it's going to save a ton of money down the line, but all she sees is a massive expense hitting her budget. The wrong way to go about this is to start talking about all the cool features. Your boss doesn't care about the features. She cares about the bottom line. The right way is to frame your entire pitch around 2 things she understands perfectly: pain and profit. So you start by framing the pain. You don't lead with your solution, you lead with the problem. Hey, just wanted to flag that we were just fined $20 million because of a manual data entry error. Boom. Now you have her full, undivided attention. You've framed the current way of doing things as an active, painful loss. And now you reframe your solution. It's not a $50 million cost. No, it's an investment that solves that pain. You say, this software eliminates that risk entirely, and it saves us $100 million in related salary costs. So we invest $50 million to get a net profit of $50 million just in year 1. You've just turned a scary expense into a no-brainer moneymaker. Now, to make your frames even stronger, let's add a few proven psychological tools to your kit. These are so simple, but believe me, they are incredibly effective. First up is anchoring. In any negotiation, the first number that gets mentioned sets the reference point for the entire conversation. You always want to be the one to set that anchor. Second, use the because principle. Studies show that justifying any request with the word because, even with a silly reason, dramatically increases the chances people will say yes. And third, please, avoid the sandwich when giving feedback. Hiding criticism between two compliments just feels insincere. Be direct, but frame your feedback constructively. Learning all this is one thing, but actually applying it is what makes the difference. So here is your action plan. I want you to think of a difficult email you have to write. Maybe one you've been putting off. Before you hit send, just stop. Rewrite it using these principles. Figure out your goal, what's in it for them. Frame your message around a benefit you share, or maybe a risk you're helping them avoid. Remember, persuasion isn't about bending the truth. It's about building a bridge so that they can see the truth from the best possible perspective. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. What important truth have you failed to communicate, not because you were wrong, but simply because you haven't found the right frame for it yet?